The border crisis is one of the top issues to voters throughout this country in the 2024 election. For years, we've heard the record-breaking numbers. We've watched hard-to-believe scenes you don't want to believe, unfolding across our southern border. And today, we're getting a closer look at what exactly is happening, how these migrants are making their journey to the United States, the dangerous players along the border, and the organizations backed by us, the United States, who ultimately benefit from perpetuating this whole crisis. James O'Keefe is a journalist and founder of O'Keefe Media Group, or OMG. He is here today to share his new documentary film, Line in the Sand, associated with the Tucker Carlson Network. Here's a bit from the trailer. Watch.
What's happening inside that facility?
You know what's happening here?
They all protect each other. The NGOs.
They got a spotlight on us.
The federal government.
This is dangerous.
I don't think we can trust anybody. America, we made it.
I'm the king of the world.
Follow the journey of the immigrants.
I can't do this, guys.
The journey of the children.
Oh, this is big time.
We're in a cartel tunnel now, dog.
We're in a cartel tunnel.
And the journey into human nature. Some things can't be read in a book or a newspaper. They must instead be lived.
James, welcome back to the show. I know. Where are you right now?
I'm in Campo, California, right next to the border wall here.
Okay, so walk me through it. This is one of the rare occasions in which I haven't actually gotten a chance to see the film before helping to promote it. So that's kind of good because the audience is in the same position I'm in. What's the purpose of doing this? Like, what were you trying to get after that others haven't gotten after?
Yeah, people, thanks, Megyn, for having me on. People, there's been a lot of reporting on the border, and people have seen this. I don't think there's ever been a movie like this made, Megyn, in that it actually immerses you with the cartel. You take the journey the illegal immigrants take. Some of the moments in the film are almost impossible to believe are real. For example, they're cutting through the fence here where I am, an hour east of San Diego, with these big, massive saws. We actually put audio recording devices on the fence to hear what they're saying to each other. We snuck into these facilities where they're housing all these unaccompanied children. We went undercover into these New York City facilities where they're giving out fake residencies. So it's sort of this cinema verite, very, very raw, almost brutally raw picture of what's happening, and you get to sort of be immersed in it with me. So we follow the journey of these people from their origin to their final destination. And what we discovered was so shocking. I mean, almost in the sense that everyone's making money off of this. People are in denial about it. And I wanted to make a film that showed and that shocked people into being awake about what is happening in this country.
It's actually kind of a great combination of your natural skills as a storyteller, as a journalist, as somebody who is very used to going undercover to catch crimes or just bad people in action, and applying it to what's happening along the southern border. So I get the marriage of you with this topic. I want to show a little clip we've pulled of you and others running to board this moving freight train with some of these migrants. Let's watch this and you can explain it.
The Faramex train conductor signaled to the immigrants not to take this train, but the next one.
This is a good one.
This is a good one?
This is the best one to travel.
Oh, is that it down there? We gotta run, let's go. ¿Qué pasó?
There's children running.
That's us. I think that's the train right in front of us.
Next one down. Next one down.
It's chaos climbing on the outside of the freight train.
Go.
Migrants on top of the plane, of the train.
You gotta keep going, you gotta keep going.
Oh shit, I can't fucking do this, guys.
Hurry! Come on, come here.
Trying to get on the train.
You got this, brother. Come on. Yeah, Logan, you got this, brother.
It's all right, man.
Oh,
We're here. What is this?
It's coal. Coal pellets.
Were you trying to board a moving train there with the migrants?
Yeah, Megan, that is the La Bestia, which is Mexican for the beast train in Irapuato, Mexico. The Venezuelans board this train. You saw mothers with their little babies strapped to their chests boarding a moving freight train to get on the train to go from the Mexico City area all the way up to Ciudad Juarez. I actually climbed aboard that train, and one of my colleagues was kidnapped by the cartel. I was detained by the Mexican army there in an unbelievable scene. You just saw a little clip of it, because I wanted to show what these people have to go through. And people say, well, this is a humanitarian thing. Let me tell you, it's not a humanitarian thing. A lot of those mothers are throwing the babies on the train. Some of them get run over. This is gruesome. This is crazy. I wanted to show something that's never been seen before. I rode the train with the Venezuelans. Like I said, I was detained. I actually had a hidden camera in my watch, so I captured the detention. The Mexican authorities were saying how the United States government was funding this. I mean, this is just insane. And while it is true that everyone knows the border is broken, I think, Megan, sometimes people just need to see. The truth is like a lion, as St. Augustine said. You just got to see it to understand it. And we have to know the nature of the crisis. And by the way, a lot of these people are very nice people. One of the things that struck me being with the Venezuelans on that train ride, and I was scared for my life, I was terrified alongside of them. Many of them are just trying to get a better life. Some of them are probably bringing drugs into the country, but a lot of them just want to get here, and it's not necessarily their fault. But the United States government is funding this, and that's what they told me. That's what the Mexican authorities told me, and you get to watch it in the theater. Like I said, it's a documentary, but it's unlike any documentary you've ever seen.
Why is the United States government funding this?
That's a great question. I mean, Health and Human Services is giving billions of dollars, for example, to these detention centers in Texas that most people have never heard of. Megan, we snuck into these places and we talked to these officials, places like Southwest Key in Texas. These NGOs get billions of dollars from the feds. And if you stop the flow of immigrants, you stop the funding flow to these institutions. And what these people all told me, and many of them didn't know they were recorded, was it was all about the money for them. They needed these people to keep coming. They needed the children to keep getting trafficked. And by the way, we're talking about 500,000 children in 3 years. They need the children to keep flowing so they get the money in their pocket so they can, quote, feed their family. And that's why the film is called Line in the Sand, because it's a film about the border, but it's not really about the border. It's about this almost biblical or age-old paradox of, at what point do you draw the line and stop doing evil things in order to make a living? And that's a really hard question to answer. The film shows all these people saying, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. I got to earn a living. Many of them Border Patrol agents. But the film ends in a very optimistic, uplifting way, because it actually shows true, courageous whistleblowers. They haven't actually gone public yet, Border Patrol agents, et cetera, who do the right thing and are punished for it. And I think the film ends, with basically saying everyone seems to have a price, except for a couple people, and it talks about those people. So it's a really deep theme here that we're exploring.
You mentioned this group, Southwest Key, this NGO, non-governmental organization that houses minors. They were given $978 million in 2024, $3.2 billion since 2020. There are 17 shelters in Texas, 8 in Arizona, 2 in California. The CEO makes over $1 million a year. The facilities house thousands of children. The top executives make over $500,000 a year. There's that organization. And then one of the ones that jumped out at me, James, is WPATH. WPATH is there? That's the trans group that's trying. I mean, truly, it's like all these trans activists trying to trans our children.
I know. This was in San Diego. I'm an hour east of San Diego. The film is in Texas, New Mexico, and California. We actually followed I always wanted to do this, Megan. I followed the illegal immigrants from their origin to their final destination every step of the way. And along the way, we were in a San Diego parking lot, and there were all these NGOs giving assistance to the immigrants. And one of them was the World Professional Organization of Transgender Health. This guy, he does not know he's being recorded, and they're transporting them to the airport. And all of these NGOs get money to help. The more people that they move, the more money that they get. And then they use the lawyer process in California to there's so many groups helping these people making money off this crisis. And again, I asked the bus driver, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just trying to earn a living. I'm just trying to feed my family. I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job.
One of the groups on here, you got Immigrant Defenders Law Center. The government grant is $6.6 million. Salaries, compensations, $4 million. Asian Americans Advancing Justice. Government grants $39.1 million. Salaries, compensations, $3 million. And I'm sorry to see on here, Catholic Charities. Government grants for $42.8 million. Salaries, compensations, $22.5 million. That is the kind of thing that makes you not want to put the money in the basket at the weekly mass.
That's a big theme in the film is the churches are in on this. And by the way, Megyn, a lot of people told me not to touch that. I had people,
sure.
You're a journalist. I'm sure you get this off the record. James, you don't want to upset the Christians now. Listen, I'm just telling you the facts. I had a whistleblower inside Catholic Charities give me internal documents that are in this film, never before seen. I had Zoom calls in this film. These are things that no one's ever seen before, like taken from the boardrooms of the Catholic Church, where they're saying things like, yeah, we're no longer Catholic. You can't make it up.
Wow.
It's crazier than if I brought this stuff to Netflix, they would laugh at me. You think that I'm hiring actors to say these things. I'm not. These are actual boardroom meetings in the Catholic Church where they're saying we've lost our way, we're no longer Catholic. They get money from the Department of Homeland Security. Well, it's kind of true about the current pope.
I don't think it's true about most Catholics, but we got questions about the current pope, who's very pro-immigration and is pretty tolerant of some other social issues that we haven't seen in some weird ways. But anyway, they're not alone. There's so many groups here, James, who work to make money off the system, and it starts to make sense. Like, why does this problem continue to fester and grow? So when the migrants, they get on the train, and what happens next? Because how do the cartels come into it? If they're on the train, does the train just drop them off in San Diego and they're good to go? Or where do the cartels come in?
That's what the film, that's exactly what I wanted to show for the audience. And I don't think anyone's ever seen this before. There have been a couple YouTubers that have shown some things. The Venezuelans, they come from around the world to the city of Irapuato to climb aboard this train they call the Beast Train. Actually, the train that I was on was the Bolachero train, which is like the Beast, little iron balls you lay on top of the freight train. And I was told when I got to Irapuato by locals to say, you should not be doing this. They're going to ransom you for $100,000 or whatever. And I knew there was a possibility that I could get kidnapped like my colleague. My colleague was kidnapped, Megyn, and they destroyed his equipment, and then they let him go. Maybe they didn't want to kill an American. So when I was detained by the Mexican authorities, there was a possibility that I would be ransomed. But thank God, I was very fortunate. I recorded that entire encounter. It's in the film. It's extraordinary. But to answer your question, they take the train. Sometimes they get off the train. They walked up to, in the film, what you see is they walk up to El Paso area in particular, Ciudad Juarez, and then they cut through the fence. You actually see this happening. They run drugs through the fence. A lot of the children are lured here. You also see that. These are very hard images to see, and it's very difficult to show it, but we show a little bit of it. Some of the children are drugged. We show that. We actually see in the movie drugged children, and you see their faces. You can see things have happened to them. And you see the smugglers go through this grated fence, carry the drugs. We actually ran after them, talked to them. They said they paid to get here. One of the immigrants actually tells me he can't tell me who paid him because they'll kill him. And then they're brought to this parking lot in San Diego. The NGOs put them on a trolley train. They go to the San Diego airport. The bus drivers, I interview all these people, and they put them on airplanes, and they bring them to places like to New York. I go to New York, and I follow that whole process to their final destination, Randall's Island, which is a kind of an encampment in New York City. They're snuck in there. It's just, I guess sometimes—
on that front, James, who is Pedro Rodriguez?
So that's one of the guys in the film that's running one of these churches in New York City. We go undercover in the church, and they're just stamping fake addresses. You pay them, and they give you an address. So I go in there as a Ukrainian immigrant. Of course, I'm not. And they stamp this document saying, here's your address in New York City. And then they also give us a wristband and a free flight wherever we want to go. So it's, I mean, like I said, you got to have to watch it to believe it.
We have a little video of you confronting Pedro. Okay. Pedro, we'll play it short. Watch a little bit of that.
You're wanted in all these states in New York, in every country, because you are a bunch of thieves and criminals and liars. You are unbelievable.
Stamping fake addresses.
Because you are a bunch of thieves and criminals. You steal children. Well, it seems you have been wanted in 3 states in South America because you are still children.
I steal children.
Yes, they steal children. Yeah, they do. They take children. Yes, they do.
Is this a best defense is a good offense kind of approach by Pedro?
Yeah, you're showing a tiny, I mean, it's like almost like projection there, Megyn. This guy lost his mind, and like you typical O'Keefe investigations, when I asked the subject for comment, talking about how I steal children, just saying crazy things. This gentleman was caught on tape committing perhaps criminal acts, stamping fake addresses, and he was caught. And you see that kind of narcissism, that sociopathy on display when these people are caught red-handed.
Why did they give him fake addresses?
So that's a question that we explore in the film. He's making money off of the crisis. I mean, this is, okay, so I go into this NGO, undercover, catch them on tape, stamping all this fake stuff. And I'm a journalist, so I'm outside the place asking for comment, and these Ecuadorian women come up to me, and they're speaking in Spanish, and they say to my colleague who speaks Spanish, can we please, is he a member of the press? Can we please speak to him? And privately, they tell me, this guy is making all this, he's taking advantage of us. He's charging us $1,100 for our asylum claims, and he's scamming us. So wow. I thought that was remarkable, because these people all tell you that it's about helping these people get a better life. But the immigrants told me, and the illegal immigrants told me, that they're being scammed money out of their pocket. Their words. And I didn't plan this. It's not like these people found me. And they actually jumped in the SUV and gave me an impromptu interview crying about how they're being scammed. And that's when Pedro ran up to me and said, I steal children. My assumption and belief is that perhaps he steals children. That seems like
I think he was trying to say enough negative things about you to make the footage unusable, not understanding that pretty much everyone who's related to news knows you in this country and would not fall for that. But it's, you know, you mentioned the children and these women, and you can't help but feel for them and their condition. But then you think about the truly bad guys who are coming across the border too, hurting those women and those children, and then hurting our women and our children and our men. And that's the story out of Nantucket over the past few days, which I do want to mention because, of course, the mainstream media is ignoring it. There are 4 illegals. This is broken by Fox's Bill Malugin on Wednesday. And they were arrested by ICE last week in Massachusetts, which is a sanctuary state. ICE's Boston office arrested 4 illegal aliens who are charged with raping or sexually assaulting Nantucket children and residents, all of whom had been released from local custody despite serious charges. Elmer Sola, an illegal alien from El Salvador, which, by the way, is part of the Kamala Harris root causes problem. Guess she missed this one. Entered the U.S. as a gotaway and was charged last month with 3 counts of aggravated child rape. The victim was a Nantucket child. He's now charged with 11 counts of sex crimes against a child. There's another, Brian Daniel Aldana Arevalo, Salvadorian, illegal alien, entered the U.S. as a gotaway, charged in July with raping a Nantucket child, and then 2 others who appear to be not children, but I'm not exactly sure what their age are. We searched to see if this story was covered by the mainstream media. CNN, 0. MSNBC, 0. NBC, 0. New York Times, 0. Washington Post, 0. How much ink have they spilled, James, on pets, trying to disprove that pets are being eaten? They're really interested in that. This, not so much.
Well, that's what I hope. You know, I'm an optimist, Megyn, and kind of like years ago, 15 years ago, I think you covered that Acorn story where we did 15 years ago when Congress defunded Acorn. It was one of those breakthrough moments when the New York Times was forced to report it. I believe this film could change things. And I hear you, the media doesn't report on it. That's why I say people know that things are broken, but this film is not a political film. I took all politics out of this. Didn't mention the presidential candidates. This is a transcendentalist film. Let me give you an example about the children. You mentioned Nantucket. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but in the film, there is a few Border Patrol agents who blow the whistle. And one of them is just an absolute lion of a man. And he talks about the underage girls. He talks about the rape. And I interviewed him in uniform. He's going out on a limb, and he breaks down crying in the film. Now, the Border Patrol have just sent him a cease and desist letter the last few days. So I go up, this is in the Canadian border now. We're in Vermont. People don't realize that it's also the Canadian border is being overrun right now by Haitians and various people. And I go up there to confront the Border Patrol for comment, and the Vermont State Police is parked outside of all the neighborhoods of all the Border Patrol agents, protecting them from my news crew. They detain me, and then we got the footage. We're going to release it later today of that, I believe, unlawful detention. So it seems like everyone's protecting the system, Megyn. The police, the NGOs, the federal government, they're all protecting each other. And the press, for some reason, is protecting that. So we have to, it's kind of reached a boiling point in this country. I know Kamala's going to the border tomorrow. I think it's reached a boiling point. It is not a left or right issue. It's certainly not a conservative or liberal issue. It's a humanitarian issue.
It's humanitarian.
And the first part about being an alcoholic is you have to recognize you got a problem. So hopefully this film accomplishes that goal.
I want to tell the audience it's called Line in the Sand. It's available to the public on October 10th, exclusively on the Tucker Carlson Network. James, all the best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megyn.
What a story.
What's happening inside that facility?
You know what's happening here?
They all protect each other. The NGOs,
They got some spotlight on us.
the federal government.
This is dangerous.
I don't think we can trust anybody.
America, we made it.
Everything on the wall!
Follow the journey of the immigrants,
I can't do this, guys.
the journey of the children,
Oh, this is big time, dude.
We're in a cartel tunnel now, dog.
We're in a cartel tunnel.
and the journey into human nature. Some things can't be read in a book or a newspaper. They must instead be lived.
There's nobody here to stop this. There's nobody.